My name is Itai Azogi. I'm a community manager of the Ignite the Spark Energy community. We are very happy to start our part two in a series of the Electrification of Africa webinars. And in just a few moments, we'll have Lumos Global team speaking. It's a successful Israeli company which will share its experience of working in the continent. A couple words about Ignite the Spark. We founded a community to encourage partnership and promote innovation throughout the sector. We are a group of volunteers. We don't get paid for it, and we believe in the Israeli energy tech sector. And we welcome any collaboration from any kind to our events. Our meetups, we hold different meetups all the time, and it's all to promote professional content and expose the community to the companies and different startups, both Israeli and international. And due to the COVID-19 spread, we are now starting different approach in different meetups. We want to keep going. We are here to keep going. And as you can see, we're using this crisis to find different creative ways to make this meetup still work. And I think it's been great so far. If you have any questions or concern or offers regarding the community activities, please reach out to us, and we'll put the details in a minute, like probably after the event, and then we'll be happy to answer all the questions and get more ideas going. And now I'm going to pass it on to Lumos, to Davidi and Nir. Thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate it, and we believe that you create great value for the community. So you go.
Thank you for having us. It's a real pleasure to be here, and thank you for everyone for joining. If you feel comfortable opening your video so we can see you, that would be great. So we didn't talk about the format of this meeting. It's going to be about 20 minutes of talking about Lumos, and then we'll have time for questions, as Cody explained before. So we'll be quick in talking about ourselves and then jumping directly into Lumos. First, I want to say thank you for Ignite the Spark. I was part of the of the ideation, initial ideation about a year ago, and so great to see that this became a real entrepreneur-oriented group, and entrepreneurs helping other entrepreneurs is something we all value, and I believe this can make a change in the energy community. So kudos to Ignite. I'll give a brief introduction about myself, and then Nir will take the lead on the presentation. So Davi, I'm energy entrepreneur for the last 7 years, and we'll talk about that in a second. Before doing that, my background is high tech. I spent time in the telecom and security industries, taking startups within big companies and making them real businesses. And about 7 years ago, Nir and I sat together on a list of different ideas. We know each other from our early days, and Lumos sounded like a crazy idea, but after doing some deep validation, we both thought this is something that has a big potential, and we jumped into the African ocean. So with this, I'll give Nir to introduce himself, and I'm going to share the screen so you're all going to see a presentation in a second.
Hi everyone, Nir Marom.
Nir, floor is yours.
Thanks. So Nir Marom, energy entrepreneur since 2006. Was co-founder of 3 companies, including Lumos, Green in the demand response space, then Sun Israel, which later became Klal Sun in the on-grid solar business, Mechraz Shalima, the PV, the first one, is something we won back in the days. And like Davidi said, back in 2013, we started doing Lumos.
Nir, sorry to interrupt really quick. It's a bit hard to hear you. So if you could talk a little bit more into your mic, that'd be helpful.
Okay. Is this better?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. So apologies. The presentation, at least parts of it, are written in Hebrew. We assume this will be in Hebrew, but I'll make sure that we say everything in English. But I'm sure we'll get through this.
Nir,
Yep.
hold on just a second. I need to reshare it because I need to share the computer sound, and hopefully you'll be able also to hear the movies. So bear with me. Okay.
Until the video does this, a bit of background. We're going to start with a bit of a background on the energy space in places like Nigeria, and we're going to use Nigeria as an example. Lumos currently in Nigeria and in Ivory Coast, but it's just easier to use one example country. So welcome to Nigeria. A few words of background. I'm not controlling this. Vidi. Here we go. So a bit of background on Nigeria. 200 million people. The average age is 19. With these days of Corona, you can imagine that their problems are different than the Italian problems. So many children. You'll see very, very young people all over. 50% Muslim, 40% Christian, and 10% other. And this was a Jewish wedding that David and I met by coincidence in one of our visits. 50% urban, and when you say urban, these are mega cities in some places. Lagos is, I think, 20 million people, very, very crowded. Center of the city is modern, but everything outside is slums. And then 50% rural. You'll find many different types. David, am I controlling this or are you? I think you're controlling.
You have control of the screen. I'm on mute, so the movie will play without background noise.
Not able to switch slides.
Good. Okay.
So maybe,
hold on.
Maybe...
Okay. I'm going to control the screen now. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Go.
So please click.
Yeah.
And in rural places like Nigeria means to provide a solution. One step back, the video that is that can travel, and you can see that our systems are all meant to be driven by Okada. Okada is this motorcycle which everyone uses for transport. Next video. 30 million micro businesses, and micro businesses can mean many things, but usually it's a 1 or 2 person business. This is a retail shop, and you can start using some examples of devices. So this shop in the next slide, please, David.
Nir, if you could speak a little bit more into the mic.
The audio not working.
No, it's not. We're having a hard time hearing you. The quality also, in terms of internet.
Let me try without these earphones.
Is this better?
Maybe.
Yes? Doesn't help spilling coffee on the earphones. Just for the...
So it sounds better.
Better now?
Yeah, you can also maybe shut down the video. Okay.
So 30 million micro businesses. This is a barber shop that's using our systems for his, but also micro businesses mean these small teenagers that don't really need electricity. Small shops going one by one. David, next slide. Yeah, one more. 90% cell penetration. which is that will be the case, but when you have a cell phone and you don't have electricity, you need to be using central charging locations like this MTN charging point. MTN is one of the mobile operators, one of the biggest mobile operator in Nigeria, and probably all of Africa. Next slide. The average household income is less than $400. But that's the banknote you use, and it's worth roughly $1. How do you call it? A well. But if you're not lucky, like these people are, you have to go to the river and bring the water back home with you. And getting to our talk, 50% with no electricity. So 50% with no electricity means a few things. It means 100 people are off 100 million people are off the grid altogether. But even the ones on the grid need electricity. Next slide, please. So let me show you, this is a short 10-second video from the main street of Nasarawa. That's 30 kilometers outside Abuja, the main city. And this is Nasarawa in daytime. Listen. And the noise, every shop in Nigeria has big markets for generators. This is the same street at night, and so this problem is not just an Africa problem, but nevertheless, or not just a Nigeria problem, but Africa is one of the biggest. You can see this is a very known picture of the world at night. You can see where the light is, and Africa with 600 million people off the grid is very, very dark. 1.3 billion people globally don't have access to the grid. Next slide. Generation capacity. Israel with 8 million people has 12 gigawatts of electricity generation capacity. Nigeria, 200 million people, has 5 gigawatts. What does that mean? Please click through the video. So the Israeli will have roughly 1,500 watts per person on the grid. The Nigerian on the grid will have 50 watts. And total, the average has 25 watts. Keep that in mind when asking yourself, you know, how much further will the grid come and how many billions of investments in the grid before it reaches the rural towns that we are talking about. Next slide. So just a few pictures to exemplify it. The grid is broken. A power station takes on average 9 years to build in Nigeria. I'm not sure it's much shorter here in Israel, but nevertheless. And the meters are noisy, polluting, and expensive. Reading. So what are we doing? We're trying to do to the electricity what the mobile phones did to landlines phone use. We're using we're providing people with solar home systems for a very small, affordable setup fee, but then they pay actually for the electricity, the monthly payments via the mobile phone, which is the only payment mechanism that they have, because most of our customers don't have bank accounts, don't have credit cards, and therefore the phone is the only account they can use. Click. So the system, this is the base advanced since, but this is the system, the most available system today. It's an the indoor unit is the yellow box, has and electronics which control both the panel and the unit itself. It also has a screen, the SIM card. And we are able to control the systems from afar, locking them and unlocking them as needed. And when a user sends an SMS to us from his regular phone, we tell the mobile operator to deduct roughly half a dollar or 40 cents. Someone asked me to turn off the video. Let me try to do that. Hopefully this is better. So they pay 40 to 50 cents a day usage, and they don't buy, they buy it for a week. Sorry, for a week or for a month. And a counter on the screen starts how much credit they have. And they use the system. The average household use would be for lighting 2 or 3 rooms for 6. Top of this, using a TV for 3 or 4 hours, and charging several cell phones. That would be a typical household use. Roughly 20 or 25% of our users are small and micro businesses, which use it for cell phone charging, which they can charge probably 80 or 90 cell phones, or like more using it for lighting and lighting 8, 9, 10 rooms at a time, etc. Next slide, please. So how does it work? We work with a mobile operator. The video will expand on this in a bit, but people come to the mobile operator shops. They sign up for the service. They pay a small commitment fee, $30, $40, which is, we see it as a commitment more than anything else. They take it home, install it by themselves, installer, and then, as I said before, they operate the system with by paying through their mobile phone. I'll pass the video to rest.
Now, can you hear me? Good. So this is a map of Lumos today. You can see Nigeria on the right and Ivory Coast on the left. These are the 2 countries we operate in. And today, more than 750,000 people are enjoying the service of Lumos. Each dot on the map represents a system or sometimes a cluster of systems. You can see that, you know, we're spread all over Nigeria and all over Ivory Coast. And this is not just because we have stores everywhere, we do not. It's because the word of mouth is the main reason for about 70% of our purchases. So it all started with, you know, 10 shops around the center of this big country on the right, which is Nigeria. This country, this area called Abuja, and this area was the, you know, first place we had like a few shops, and people took it to their, you know, relatives in the villages, and this is how the service spread. And we still today count on word of mouth as being our best sales tool. And, you know, when people come and see that there's a house with light at night, they just knock on the door and ask, so how do you have light without noise? And when they see it, you know, they want immediately to have, you know, something like it. And people bring it from the big cities to the small villages. We call it electricity out of the box because the idea of a broken grid is not just, you know, the fact that people don't get service, is the fact that, you know, they'll never be able to be connected on the one end, and even if they're connected, it's a very bad service. What we supply as reliability is, you know, knowing that when you come from work, you can turn on the light. For us, it's trivial. It's like we really get mad when we have 2 minutes a year of, you know, electricity shutdown. And, you know, for a Nigerian, when you ask me if there's something like constant power, he'll laugh at you. So when we looked at how to solve the challenges of Africa, one was, of course, we had to be independent of the grid because, as Nir explained, the grid doesn't work. And the second was, how do we solve the distribution challenges? and the payment challenges, because you cannot think about building a distribution system for one product which is, profitable. So when we looked, who can be our best partner, who can solve these kind of challenges, the mobile operator emerged as, the best partner. And the idea was to use the distribution system of the operator, which has shops everywhere, and logistics, and use the payment systems and use the customer support, and make it as easy as getting a mobile phone. So the same kind of customer experience. You come to the store, as Nir explained, you sign on a contract, and within the same day, you have power in your house installed and running without technicians. You don't need to know anything about electricity. You just need to put this on the roof and put the box, inside your store or house, and you have power. So the simplicity is a key thing here in the go-to-market. And when we came and pitched it to the mobile operators, I think a lot of people were skeptical whether they would like it or not. And we were able to convince them to go with us. And you see the co-branding everywhere. The co-branding is something very important for a consumer, because the consumer understands the credibility that this product has is not only Lumos, which is back then not a well-known brand in Africa, but also MTN, which is #1 brand in Africa. So as you can see here, we are a store within a store. We sell inside the MTN shops. And here on the left side, you can see one of the MTN Group top executives saying that this is a partnership made in heaven. And the reason is that this is a win-win for both companies and the customer. Customer gets a critical service. MTN gets more revenue from the same customers base, and we are using their distribution and payment system to leverage the countrywide operations that they already got. So we talked about some sample installations, home, school, clinics, small businesses. I just want to give you one example. This is a Joma. She's restaurant owner outside of Lagos. Lagos is a 20 million people city, but they have no power in most of these small businesses. And before using Lumos, she was using a generator, and because of the cost associated, she couldn't afford to run her shop, after 5 p.m. and she's losing revenue. And now by switching to Lumos, she's keeping the same budget she had before, but she can run the shop until 10 p.m. And get more revenue. So we are increasing the revenue without increasing the cost. Finally, I would like to share with you, a few of our lessons learned. We wrote in Hebrew. Apologies for that. We thought all the audience would be Hebrew speaking, so I'll translate everything. So first, on the success side, we are looking at 5 points that we see as positive learnings. One is that we were able to develop a technology that is a good fit with the market. The product market fit is excellent. 78% of people, of our customers, when you ask them if they would be disappointed if we took the service away, the product market fit is excellent. I mean, almost 80% say they would be highly disappointed. Building production lines in China, and building, security technology that can actually lock the systems when you don't pay. And of course, there's all the backend integration with the operator and, the payment and the BI systems, which we don't have time to go into right now. The business model works. As I said, customers are happy and paying. We built good partnerships, with MTN, with our manufacturing in China, and with OPIC, which is the NFMO, which are DFIs, which I'll touch on in a moment. The operational model is scalable. We opened Ivory Coast about 2.5 years after we started Nigeria, and the model is completely replicable, and we were able to achieve faster time to market and better business KPIs on the second country, and we believe the third country and the fourth, etc., would be even better. the fifth point is that Africa is open for new technologies, new business models. One needs patience and readiness to educate the market, because sometimes stuff like solar, which may be trivial for us, is not trivial for the African consumer. Some challenges and lessons. First, financing in Africa is more complicated because of the forex, because that economies are getting into recession, faster and for longer time periods. This doesn't help investors to be eager to get into businesses in Africa. So you're starting with a much limited amount of investors. Therefore, the DFIs are developing financial institutions, guys like OPIC, FMO, and others. They are a very important part of the ecosystem, and there's importance of building the long-term relationships. Third is that impact is important when you build, a business like Lumos, but a robust business model, which is profitable and scalable, is the base for every company. Impact is a bonus. It cannot replace the principles of a good business. And last is that every country in Africa has its own culture. You need to invest time in learning it and giving it a place in your corporate culture. What you build has to contain multiple cultures, not just the Israeli, but the Nigerian and the Ivorian.
Davide,
Final, yeah.
Before you move on to that one, I think one thing we're missing in this presentation is to give a bit of context on where we are today. And so you guys saw the map. We're providing power to roughly 750, 800,000 people today, maybe a bit over that. We're in terms of employment, we're probably 60 people in Israel, and another 400 or 500 people in Africa, Nigeria, most of them in Nigeria, roughly 100 people in Ivory Coast.
Thank you. So finally, what is the future of electrification in Africa? If 5 years ago, off-grid was a dream or temporary solution, it's clear that this is part of the solution. Off-grid is part of the solution. Extending the network is something that African countries have been trying to do for the last 50 years, and they failed. Billions were invested and went down the drain. And there are no really good success stories that you can say are replicable in the on-grid world. Therefore, with the current cost of solar and lithium-ion, it makes much more economic sense to use off-grid to create solutions that fit consumers and small businesses, and probably mini-grids or microgrids for solutions that are industrial and commercial, that are independent of the grid. There are regulations and changes in the mini-grid space as well, but for sure this is something we should, you guys should take into account if you're looking to get into Africa. Also, important to remember that the end customers, even if they are middle class in our terms, they don't have the buying power to consume, what we consume here, and therefore it doesn't justify the economics of building a grid like we have here. So finally, the distributed approach gives a good answer to the problem, and people are getting more and more comfortable with such a solution. And this is only the beginning. Of course, we're reaching 1 million people that enjoy the service, but as Nir mentioned, the potential is hundreds of millions and billions of people globally. So that's it. Cody, I'll give it back to you. You're on mute, Cody.
Thank you. So some of you have already been submitting questions, and we appreciate it. It definitely means that there was a lot of insight from Nir and Davide, which I really appreciate both of you for taking the time to do this. We're going to take about a 3 to 5 minute break to allow everyone to go ahead and start voting on questions. And as some of you have already been doing, you could see what previous questions have been asked. and go through. Remember, if you look in the Zoom chat, but then also if you go to www.sly.do, the directions are also in the Zoom chat, and you type in 86262. That's how you join. And then you could start voting on questions on what you want to hear from. So just like that, I can go through and see who I want to upvote, go through everyone's questions, and at the same time, I can go through and type in my questions. So please take the next 3 minutes to start submitting questions and voting. And then we'll go into about a 15-20 minute Q&A and be able to address as many things as possible, and some things may come up. Great. Davide and Nir, do you want to maybe start hopping into some of them and people could still continue on with their top questions? And maybe work bottom down, or however you felt that it could best work.
Okay, so we'll start from the top. Davide, jump in when you want. What is the pricing model? Who does the maintenance? Do you install the device only in shops or in private houses too? Let's start with the fact that we don't install it. People come to the mobile phone shop and buy it and put it wherever they want. And so roughly 75% are households, residential, 25% are small and micro businesses. The pricing model is roughly a commitment fee, which changes based on system size and sometimes promotions and stuff, but roughly $30–40 commitment fee for a system that would cost in market, a similar size system in the market would cost $500–700. We charge a $30–40 commitment fee, and then roughly 40 to 50 cents a day for the usage. And the price for usage changes based on if you're buying upfront longer periods, 6 months or a year, you get lower per day pricing. If you're buying shorter periods, it's more expensive. You want to take the next one, Davide?
Sure. So backup hours, it's all about, the sizing of the panel versus the storage. So for example, if you have 5 hours of effective radiation a day, you plan the system to have enough energy spares that, will be able to use it during the night. So it depends on where you are on the globe and, the average radiation. We plan the system sizing accordingly, so people will have, service that is reasonable.
Davide, I think the question was more basic. We do have a battery. The yellow box is mostly a battery. If that was the question.
Yes, we use lithium-ion, and this is, the standard solution today for, most off-grid systems switch to that kind of technology. And again, the system, kilowatt hours, the battery capacity is about 300 watt hours, not in kilowatts.
And that's for the basic system. We are now selling bigger systems as well. Someone asked the kilowatt hour price cheaper or more expensive than the local utility. So unfortunately, it is more expensive than the kilowatt hours for the utility. But that's not the right question to ask. Sorry, the right question to ask is compared to alternatives, and because the utility is not there. And the alternative compared to the alternatives, running a generator usually costs the customer roughly 50-60 cents per hour of usage. And we are giving him 24 hours of electricity. Now, in terms of kilowatt hours or price per kilowatt hour, it changes depending on the usage, because when people charge their phones from the generator, they're not using the entire capacity of the generator. If someone is using the entire capacity of the generator, then it's cheaper for him to use the generator than to use the Lumos box. So it's a product fit. Some people are better off with the generator. Some people are better off with the Lumos product. Many of our customers are switching from the generator to the box. And by the way, some are switching from the grid because of the high monthly fees and not the kilowatt hour fees. But those are many of our people are on the grid and using Lumos as backup to the grid. But I've also met a few who've stopped using the grid altogether, but those are the exception.
Okay, I'll take the next one. So Nigeria has a crucial problem of political corruption. Your experience. So, most countries, emerging market countries, have some kind of political issues or corruption. This is one of the reasons we chose not to work with the government, and we went direct to consumer, retail via the private sector, very much like what mobile operators did 15 years ago, in order not to deal with, the electricity company or, any kind of government officials.
I have to tell you that my experience is much better than expected. We've had regulatory issues that people told me, crises. People, stopped us from working, and people told me they're waiting to get a check, and we came and explained, and everything worked without any need for that.
Nir, do you mind going into like a specific example? So maybe like exactly how you navigated it, and maybe expanding a little bit more? So I think even on the next question, people are asking, it's a land of uncertainty due to political instabilities, why focusing could also be, and like how using maybe partners on the ground to navigate.
So we'll start with that it's almost impossible to work completely as an external. And our Nigerian team, we started off with expats, but very soon moved towards local people because of the ability to do business, and it's much easier to do business as a local than it is to do it as an expat. These are our people. We are, the partners we have are MTN, not people who work for us. But the people who work for us are employees. But all the management, except for one these days, or the local management is African, Nigerian, and Ivory Coast, in the Ivory Coast example. As for specifics, I had the government office tell us, and I won't go into the exact specifics, but a government office sent us a letter saying that what we're doing doesn't fit their regulations and that we should cease from doing this. I took the local lawyer we had, went to talk with them, explained why we were there 2 years before and talked to them and got an approval to work. Reminded them of that, explained again where we are and the progress we did, and they withdrew their letter. It took 2 or 3 weeks, but it was not worse than my experience here in Israel. What was the next? Why focus on that market? On the African market, well, that was the, the whole. We built the business model for the specific problem of people off grid, and it's very difficult to build that, to use that business model for places which are not Africa or Southeast Asia or develop any or such developing markets. So there wasn't a choice in that sense. Davide?
Yeah, next, the third country, it's a question of, opportunity in terms of the model. The model was being proven in the second country, and as I said, the model is replicable. We're certainly looking at, where is the best place to open our third country, and I believe, in the next couple of years, this will be a next step for Lumos. Advice for them.
We didn't say this from the get-go, but Davide and I are now on the board of Lumos, but not managing Lumos. And that the next territory is a management decision. It's about succeeding in, our belief is that it's better to succeed in a small number of companies than spread yourself too thin and fail in many countries. And that's why we're taking it very carefully.
The best advice for an entrepreneur thinking of an energy-related startup. I think the fact that we are Israelis helping or not is not the question. I think if you are looking to build energy-related startup in Africa, for example, my best advice is, go and spend as much time as you can with people who build businesses in Africa, not necessarily in the energy space, but learn from their experiences, talk to as many entrepreneurs as you can, learn from others people's mistakes, and make sure that your business model is rock solid before you try and develop one line of code, because energy related companies eventually are, or typically are, financing dependent, and they need to be very robust on their business model. So that's my 2 cents. In terms of Israelis, we had no problems presenting ourselves as Israelis anywhere. Sometimes working as an Israeli entity is a problem, but there are solutions for that.
The next question is, do we have issues of theft? So the system is designed to lock, or it's normally locked and opens up only after payment. And therefore, if you're stealing it, you're getting mostly a brick. And the combination of the commitment fee plus the fact that it's relatively difficult to hack into prevents most of the theft. Of course, we don't know of each and every system, even though we talk with the system, with each and every system on a daily basis. We know how much power was generated. We track it. We do business analytics on these systems. But if a system falls off the grid, we don't necessarily know exactly each and every system. And so we assume some level of theft is happening, but it's very, very minimal.
Okay, the most unexpected challenge you encountered in the early days. So believe it or not, we are now in the Corona period. When we started, we were aiming to go at Guinea-Conakry. So Guinea-Conakry is a small country, West African. And one of our early partners was a mobile operator based in Guinea. And we thought it's a wonderful space to do our, pilot with, hundreds of systems. When first time I arrived in the airport, I see people studying under the airport parking lights, and I asked what's going on. They told me these are the university students that don't have light in the university, so they come here. So clearly, it was an amazing market to test the concept. But Ebola came just when we were ready to start the pilot. We had the systems on the airplane, and we had to stop it, and we couldn't take the risk, of course, and we had to think, what are we doing next? And this is how we went to Nigeria earlier than we thought, because we really planned to start in a small country and then move to Nigeria, but we had to jump into the water. So talking about viruses, that was another one. Nir, the next question is, want me to take it, the environmental impact?
No, I'm okay. I can do that.
Okay.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but a couple of years ago, the World Bank did a study on us on the environmental impact. We were actually received good grades because we're replacing. We're not just replacing, gas-fired or even coal-fired power plants. We're replacing diesel generators and kerosene lights, which are polluting much more than coal and gas-fired plants. And so I don't have the exact numbers, but we're happy to say that the environmental impact is considered very good.
While you're on the question of environmental impact, do you mind answering the question that you see at the bottom? Do you have a plan for what to do with the lithium-ion batteries at the end of life?
No, to be honest, no. But this is a problem that one Tesla car has more batteries in it than most of us. And last time I checked, there was no solution globally for this. And when there is, we will be part of that. The systems are on a lease-to-own basis with the customers, and so the customers keep the system, and even when the battery drops and it doesn't die, it drops to whatever 50-60% capacity. For the average user, it's still a very good system, and so I imagine that the users will continue using it for many years beyond the 5 years. And once there is, we will be happy to join any solution that globally is presented, but I don't think, or I don't know of any good solutions as of yet. To be fair, I didn't check this in the last 1 or 2 years, but some of our financing DFIs have done this study for us in the past.
Yeah, just to add to that, I just published on the chat, there's a CDC paper that was published like 2 weeks ago that reviews the environmental impact in Nigeria and the solution in general. So please, you can take a look there.
Someone asked about competition. So there's a handful of companies doing similar things to what we're doing. One of them is mentioned here, Zola Electric. The differences, there's many differences on many fronts, but the differences we like to highlight that we are, in terms of payment mechanisms, we can use what's called mobile money. Mobile money is the electronic wallet. It's an application that sits on top of your phone, and you can use that as a bank. Now, we can use mobile money, but we can also use airtime, which is your regular mobile airtime account. All of our competitors are in places like Kenya and Eastern Africa, where mobile money penetration is high, relatively high. 30, 40, 50%. In Nigeria, mobile money penetration is close to 0. And so if you don't have full billing integration with a mobile operator, you cannot really work in Nigeria. And to this day, other players, including Zola, are struggling with this. Even though they tried to come into the Nigerian market, people aren't able to pay. That's, it's a differentiation which is based because of the local knowledge here in Israel of billing and mobile payment mechanisms. We were able to hire people that worked in places with relevant experience. So that's one differentiator. The second is system size. We're usually on the larger size. Most of the other competitors are doing or traditionally did very small systems. They're now trying to go bigger, but also we are, so we're keeping that buffer. And I think the last point is that our systems are a bit more secure, or not a bit, are more secure than the others. As far as we know, the others are relatively easy to hack into.
Great. So that looks like we're about over time right now. Nir and David, I want to thank you both so much for joining, always being such strong supporters of our community as well. With Ignite the Spark, I really do appreciate it. And it was a lot of valuable insight. I think it got a lot of people thinking even more in depth than they did on the first one. These are very specific in answering things and expose people to some new ideas, which I'm very thankful for. So I'm going to thank you all for joining. Eshel, if you want to be able to share your screen now. Feel free, we're going to be sending some updates after this via the Eventbrite. We'll also be able to we'll talk to Davidi and Nir and see if what contact info they want to give out to better connect. If you have any more questions. And then feel free, if you have any questions at any time, to email us at info@ignitethespark.org.il. As well, we have secondary communities of Ignite Academia made for students, if you're a student on this call. And then as well, we have Women in Energy. It's a women-only group. Please feel free to email us if you want to get connected to either of those communities. Or if you just want to stay in the loop for Ignite the Spark and everything Ignite the Spark, check out our Facebook and LinkedIn just by searching Ignite the Spark. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Please stay safe and healthy out there. If there's any resources that you need, feel free to reach out to us. Myself, Eshel Lippman, Itai, thank you as well. Itai is on this call. Itai is definitely going to be our point person for Africa and within Ignite the Spark. So I want to thank everyone for joining and hope you have a great day. Thank you, Nir. Thank you, Davidi.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.